Hey, today we are going to install Hyper-V on bare metal within Vultr, and we are going to go with the New York location, aka New Jersey. We're going to go with, Ubuntu 2104, and the most important thing is that with SSD there is something called Whoa USB that makes it really easy to install on, to install an ISO to boot from. But with NVMe, it's a little bit different. Now, in terms of the science behind it, to be entirely honest, I do not totally get it. I will just say, though, that if you try to use Whoa USB or Rufus along with DD, just other various tools, and you write out to the SSD, I've had some success. Namely, I've had success with Whoa USB to burn Hyper-V's image, but I've not had any success with NVMe. So I found a workaround, and it's actually hilarious. So because they give you two NVMe drives here, so this would work. If you went up to the $725 a month plan for this AMD EPYC 7443P system here, you would have an SSD. You could then, you could go about this through using Whoa USB and just write things out like in the past Vultr video that I've made. But if you only have access to two NVMe drives, this is what you're going to do. It's a little crazy, it's long-winded, but we're going to get it done. And so we're just going to go ahead and select No RAID, disks formatted and mounted. That's good. For the server name, I'm just going to pick I'm just going to pick Hyper-V1 and click deploy. Okay, so step one is we're just going to copy the IP address over into PuTTY and launch a connection. Do yes, and of course the username is going to be root, as that matches here. I'm going to copy that password. Right click to paste it in, hit enter, and at this point there's really two main things that we need to do first. The first and foremost is that we need to get the actual Hyper-V ISO onto the machine. So I've got that here. You can find the link down in the description. If it's broken, let me know by putting a comment down below. Also, please subscribe if you like my videos, because I feel like I try to put good quality into them. And anyway, we're gonna do MV1 tab, and then we are going to we're gonna name this win.iso. And first, we're just going to do a df-h just to see what devices we have. So the first thing that I noticed right away is you see all these the temp fs, and then you see these dev, right? So see these dev devices here. So this is dev NVMe 0N1P1. So this is the first NVMe device, and this is partition 1 of that, and that's a root. That's a root directory there. And then you can see we have another device, and you'll see that it's increased right by a number. So we have NVMe1N1. And then this is also partition 1. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off by, we're going to go ahead and format this to be a FAT device. But the very first thing that we actually have to do, in my opinion, is no matter what, we have to run VMware Workstation Pro on this machine. So the first thing we need to do with this Ubuntu system is we need to get it set up to where we can use like a remote desktop connection, and in order to do that, we're just gonna have to apt update. So just ran apt update, and then I'm going to do apt install. We are going to install xfce4, And then we're also going to install XRDP, and then just a -y to auto accept that. We have it asking us which services to restart. I'm just going to tab down to OK, hit enter. So that's good. We're good there. And then we need to create a file. So I'm going to just do nano, then this, and inside of it, we are just going to tell it that we're going to do an XFCE4 session. So that's going to allow us to log in. So I'm just to be safe, I'm going to do service XRDP restart. And now we should be able to remote desktop into this machine. Perfect. So we've got this all set to go here. For the username, I'm just going to put root, and let's just to make our lives easier, let's just change the password to something that we can type. Perfect. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. And then I am going to install Firefox as well. So I'm just going to do apt install Firefox. It's oh, I forgot the -y. pkill unattended upgrade, and so I did it. So we're just going to continue on installing Firefox, and it's going to talk about rebooting. Don't worry too much about that. We're just gonna kind of tab down to OK. This is because we need to go download a file from the VMware site. Download VMware Workstation Pro. Out of the kindness of VMware's heart, if you scroll down to the bottom, just about, and then scroll up slightly, you'll see right over here, Workstation 16 Pro for Linux. Just click to download it, and we're going to save the file. So just to take care of some prerequisites while that's doing its thing, we are going to do apt install gparted. Perfect. We're also going to need to install GCC. That is a prerequisite. I'm also going to search up Ubuntu VMware Workstation prerequisites. Maybe some others here. I'm going to do apt install build essential as well. Okay, I'm going to chmod this to make it executable. And now we should for sure be able to just run that. Awesome. So it's going to configure itself. We may see some errors pop up in just a little bit. I'm going to come down here to the application finder and just type in VMware and click here, click launch. Now it's either going to yell at us or it's not. Okay, just accept that. Yeah, accept. Would you like to check for product updates? Sure, why not? No, I don't want that. I want to try it for free. Okay, so it's saying thank you for trying it. Wonderful. And we are just going to, we're going to df and we're going to type umount dev/nvme 1n1 p1, right? So we're just unmounting that, and then we're going to launch gparted. And up top, we should see devices here. We're going to select this one because this is the root directory, remember? And then this is the alternative drive. So we're just actually going to right-click this and format it to FAT32. And then just click this guy here to apply that. Cool. We'll do typical recommended. And we're going to install it later. And we will select, try to find server, Windows Server 2019. That's what we want. So do that, and next that, next that. That's good. That's good. Customize the hardware. And okay, so for this, we're going to give it some more memory to work with, because why not? And we've definitely got more processing power on this machine to be able to give it more. And at this point, this is good. We're just going to click on Add. So right now, it's not showing a hard drive. That's okay. We'll have to add that later, probably, is what I'm thinking. But for the time being, we are also going to do custom and just do this VMnet. And other than that, all of this other stuff here, it appears to be good. This all should work fine. For this data, we are going to use the ISO image. We're going to browse for that. And it's going to be in our download. Nope, it's going to be in our home. We're going to use that win.iso, right? So at that point, we're looking good there. Cool. We're going to close that. Close that. And finish. Cool. Close that out. And then we're going to edit the virtual machine settings and click on Add. So now it shows us hard disk here. Click Next. And we're going to select NVMe. That's the recommended. And we are going to select Use a Physical Disk. So this is actually going to physically use that NVMe disk. So we're going to do Use Entire Disk. And sure enough, we're going to use the NVMe 1N1, right? Because remember again, on partition 1, on the 0 one, this is our root directory. We don't want to mess with our current live Ubuntu file system. We want to go after this one that's just kind of an extra mounted, or it was an extra mounted drive that we unmounted and formatted to FAT32. And we're going to next and make sure, again, like I said, use that full physical disk, because like we're literally just going to launch up the virtual instance of the Windows installer, but then physically be installing to that NVMe drive, right? So now save, and we should be good to just go ahead and start up the machine. Do OK, and just smash any key on the keyboard and continue on. And I'm just going to, while this is loading up, I'm going to just look up disk part, prepare disk for Windows 10, because if I'm not mistaken, I think we're not going to see, we may not see that drive. And so we may just need to, clean the drive, and that's fine. We'll get that set up. We'll just kind of create like a primary partition. Okay, next, custom. Okay, cool. It actually seems like it found what we're maybe looking for, but you can see it says that Hyper-V cannot be installed on it. And it's saying Windows cannot be installed on this disk. The selected disk has an MBR partition table. On EFI systems, Windows can only be installed to GPT disks. So for Windows, it can't work on that. So it's got to be installed to a partition formatted as NTFS. So we have to click on OK and close out of this. Are you sure you want to quit? Yes. and we're going to go to repair a computer, select troubleshoot, and open up the command prompt. I'm sure I could have probably done this through gparted, but we're just going to do it this way, the quick and dirty way, because we're actually going to format this to NTFS right here. So let's go ahead and let's open disk part, and let's list disk. We're going to select disk 1. And you can tell that's the one because it's the big one. That's our NVMe. And then we are going to just type clean. And so cool, it cleaned the disk. So now we can type list disk. Whoops, let's type list disk again. Okay, so we're still selected on it. We are going to now type create partition primary, and then select partition 1 and type active. Okay, so now it's that, but with NTFS. For label, you just call it, let's call it data, and do quick. Hit enter, and it just formatted that to NTFS, so that's cool. At this point, I believe we're good to exit out, and if I'm not mistaken, name. That's it. Okay, so we're just gonna do do dir, and type setup. That should launch that. Perfect. Install. That just avoids us having to reboot the machine. Gonna accept, next it, custom, this right here. So right now it is saying that Microsoft Hyper-V can't be installed on drive 1, partition 1. Just go ahead and click delete. And click here and click new to apply. Okay. And go ahead and just click next. Wow, we actually could have done this a lot earlier. So, I mean, you can see that obviously I'm making some mistakes along the way. I think this one here, yeah. So here, if we make this smaller, we scroll up maybe a little bit. This is what we're going to want to configure. So just to make our life easier, let's just configure it now before we shut the machine down for a reboot, and then boot up through to like the IPMI or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, let's set the network adapter address with the 1, and we're gonna hit S for static, and for enter static IP address, the static IP address is just gonna be this. So I'm actually gonna try to copy it and see if there's any way that maybe I can do edit and paste. Nice. I'm just going to hit enter. And then for the subnet mask, that's going to be this right here. We'll just copy this. And then once we copy that, we'll paste that in as well. That's good. And then the gateway is going to be the broadcast. So we'll just copy this guy. And we'll just paste this in. Cool. And then for the DNS servers, just we're going to do 2. And I guess let's, I like Cloudflare. So that'll be the first one. And then it's going to ask us to set another one. Why not do Google, I guess. There we go. That's good. And then really, I guess at this point, we are good to go. I mean, we're good. I'm going to actually just to be safe, I'm going to shut down the server. And it's going to ask if I'm sure. We're going to do yes. And this should kill our VM. And ideally as well, once it drops this VM, by shutting down the server, down here, that NVMe drive should be done. It's not running. Okay. Cool. Yep. So that machine shut down. And we're really good at this point to just close off everything and really take this thing down for a reboot. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and type reboot. We're going to drop off drop off that. Go back in quick to view your console inside of your Vultr control panel. And at this point, we're just going to open up into like full screen here. And the first time booting, we're just going to smash F11 a few times. We will notice right there invoking boot menu. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So you're going to see this Windows Boot Manager. Go ahead and use your arrow keys down to it and hit enter onto it. So it's gonna do like a first time startup type of deal. And this actually should automatically readjust the boot stuff, so that way from now on we should be good to go. And I'm just gonna type 14 to exit to a command line to make sure ping works. I'm just gonna ping google.com. Nice. Good deal. So at this point, we would be good to go to to set up the server and everything. We could go from here, and of course, go back into. We could open up sconfig again, and we could type 7 for the remote desktop and enable it with 1 for the more secure option. And if I wanted to, I could just RDP into this host here and control it through that. So if we come back here, of course, now the username will be administrator instead of root. But there we go. Yeah, so we're all set to go. If we wanted to, at this point as well, we could pop PowerShell open, cd out to C, make a temp directory in there, set silently continue. Let's maybe wget the files for cd into temp. Look in there. So we have the MSI for the Windows Admin Center. So we could go ahead and run this and just kind of like wait for a second while that's doing its thing. Maybe let's check ipconfig all to see what this is. Okay. Nice. So this right here is disconnected. This I am concerned about because I think that this should be connected, and more than likely somewhere we could get this to work. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, this is more so kind of, from my understanding, this is just like an extra Ethernet. adapter anyway. That this is more like your public one. So my guess would be this is like more probably like your private Ethernet adapter. Yeah. Uh-huh. But yeah, this is your public one, and this is good for sure. You could mess around with this and see about, you know, if you wanted to assign like maybe a private IP to the server, maybe then this could kind of do its thing with the DHCP maybe. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. I'm not the best in the whole world. I'm just trying. And with that said, just one thing I wanted to check really quick here is if we go back here and just type in shutdown -R -T 0, the ideal situation is that looking at the console or the no VNC, which is basically IPMI, I think. But looking at this, we should be able to, with the hands off the keyboard doing nothing, the Windows, but by launching that window boot manager, it should have like kind of like auto corrected the boot settings. You selected that NVMe drive with Ubuntu on it. It would still boot back to Ubuntu. At this point, I do believe what we're going to do, though, ideally what you would want to do, awesome, that is so perfect. But ideally what you would want to do is go in, here, I'm going to show you, I guess, really quick. Okay, so disk 1 is what I believe we are using disk 1. So if we, for example, go in here to like select disk 0, format that one, being all careful to then be able to use that extra NVMe for, you know, if you wanted to store files on your server and that type of thing. But anyway, hopefully this was useful. I hope that I solved anybody's NVMe nightmares about getting Windows Hyper-V installed, because this definitely was a fun trial for me. You know, this was very interesting because I've heard of people having to use like SSDs or USBs in order to properly get NVMe drives properly installed to, but apparently using VMware Workstation Pro and physically working with a drive, as long as you have 2 NVMe drives, this can work.